Now, in today's day and age, there are some extremely sad stories about critically endangered species and species on the brink of extinction that don't really look like they're coming back. Their numbers aren't really climbing up. Their ecosystems might be falling apart. But that's not what I'm going to be talking about today. Today, I'm going to be talking about the success stories, the reintroduction efforts that were successful and brought back ecosystems and species, and now they might be thriving more than ever due to our very, very good efforts. So let's just jump right in. Now the first one might just be the most successful one yet. The Eurasian beaver was hunted nearly to extinction across Europe during the 16th century, mainly for its fur because it was fashionable. Why else? And this brought extreme pressure on the species, and there were really only a few remaining populations left in France, Germany, and Norway. However, in today's age, over many decades, reintroduction efforts have seen this species skyrocket in number to being in population in between 1.2 to 1.5 million, which is absolutely insane. And recently, they have been getting reintroduced into Scotland, where they went completely extinct. And they have had a massive positive effect on where they have been introduced. Now there are some controversies with farmers and things like that, but if they get worked out, there's no doubt that the beavers will have a positive effect all across the UK as well, just like they did across all of Europe when they were reintroduced. Yellowstone today is one of the most beautiful, unique, and rich ecosystems in not just North America, but perhaps the entire planet. But it wasn't always like this. In the 1980s, wolves had gone completely extinct in Yellowstone, and elk there was around twice the population of elk that is normal for that kind of ecosystem. They were completely overgrazing, leaving less vegetation for beavers to build their dams, which brought the fish population down as well. There was also less old, tall trees that birds could nest in. Reintroducing the wolves brought back all the necessary things that this environment needed. Now that the elk had a natural predator, of course their population went down to normal levels. But also, they didn't stay in one particular area too long, which meant that they didn't decimate the vegetation there. This is the impact that a single species can have on an environment. If they didn't introduce the wolves, then Yellowstone might not be the place we know of today. And this really just shows the impact that an apex predator or a keystone species can have. Now let's talk about a much more recent reintroduction effort that we haven't really seen the extent of what this will do to the environment. But on the island of Ermakov, on Ukraine's side of the Danube Delta, a herd of water buffalo have been recently reintroduced. Now it is theorized that these water buffalo will open the vegetation up for water to enter more into the ground and essentially make the wetlands healthier, and it will be better for insects, amphibians, and birds alike. Now this is a quite recent reintroduction effort, but if it has positive results, we could see larger scale efforts be tried. I can't talk today. I don't know. What is wrong with Now, a lot of people know about the story of the American bison. When European settlers came and started settling out west and exploring the wild, wild west and the Great Plains, bison populations were completely decimated until there was only one last herd in Yellowstone. And the mission to bring back these animals began, and every single bison today in America came from that one single herd in Yellowstone. Now today there are about 31,000 wild bison in America, and even more that are domesticated for meat. But a lesser known story is the story of the European bison. Now, a key difference between the American bison and the European bison is that European bison are much more adapted for forest environments. They are grazers, but also browsers, while American bison are mainly grazers. Now, these bison were hunted unregulated for a very, very long time, but it was World War I that really signed the doom contract for these animals. Because in World War I, when soldiers were living in the trenches, bison were a fantastic source of not just meat, but they also provided fur for warmth. So after the war, there were only two small populations of bison left in Poland in the forest of Białowieża, and a small population in the mountains of Caucasia, both of which were hunted down. Luckily, there were some bison left in zoos, and another mission of rewilding this bison began, and today there are about 6,000 European bison roaming the land. Mainly in Poland, in the same forest, Białowieża, and there are also other populations across Poland. But they have also been recently introduced to places like the southern Carpathian Mountains in Romania. Now, the stories of bison are some of the greatest examples of what we can do for the environment when we really put our heads together and really try. And it is also a great example of relearning how to live with large animals in the modern world. In California lived the largest bird in North America, the California condor, which almost went extinct by the 1900s due to poaching, lead poisoning, and habitat destruction. There were only 27 left in the wild, and they were all captured and bred in captivity. By 1991, the vulture recovery program began, and in 2023, they estimated a population of 561 individuals, and today that number is even larger than that, and their numbers are climbing up slowly but surely. These stories are the examples of what the human species is capable of when it comes to living alongside nature, helping nature, recovering environments, ecosystems, species, and it might be a look at a brighter future if we continue efforts like we have with these species that I've listed here. Also, the next video I'm going to be doing is probably going to be with a mic, so this bad audio quality will finally go away. Hope you enjoyed this video, hope you learned something, and enjoy the rest of your day. Also like and subscribe. Goodbye.